Dinner Conversations is brought to you by Child Fund, a community development organization that has been envisioning a world where every child is free to live at their fullest potential, no matter where they're from or what challenges they face since 1938.
Partner with us and our good friends at Child Fund to change the world and the life of a child by considering sponsoring a child today.
It really does take so little to make a difference.
Visit childfund.org/dinner conversations.
A child is waiting. I was reading an article on Facebook by Mark Means, and he was saying lines like faith grenades and talking about suicide, and I thought, what a perfect person to come on Dinner Conversations. He's a therapist. He just happens to be Wes Hampton's father-in-law, so we could maybe make Wes come too and sing, which he did. And I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah, it's a hard conversation to have for a lot of people. Even just the word suicide can be a trigger. And so we are grateful to have this safe space. Mark Means, what a safe person. Yeah. Wes, what a fantastic person. So we can't think of two better people. And Wes gives us music. Yeah. And music is such a helpful part of having these deep conversations. So what a fantastic two people to have around the table and on set today.
And there's one seat left at the table, and it's yours. So let's join the conversation. I was recently doing a concert, and I tell this story about how when Mama died, the thing that I learned is that you don't get to plan your entrance or your exit. And then I say, well, you can plan your exit, but that's called suicide. And then you get to heaven, your mansion's not ready, you got to go live with your in-laws, and everybody laughs. Because I'm trying to make the point that I don't believe suicide is fatal in eternity.
The unpardonable sin or whatever.
No. And so, and everybody laughs, and I moved on. All right, now I get a letter from a father of a young man who just committed suicide. And the way he heard it is that I was making fun of suicide. So I called him and said, how can I do that better? And what can I do? Because my intention was to let people know that your child is safe in the arms of Jesus. Don't worry about that child. What have you learned in your years of this?
Practicing as a therapist.
Yeah. How would you do that better?
Talk about suicide?
Yeah. How do you talk about it?
The most important thing is talk about it. I mean, that's it. When we have friends that we're worried about, the thing you do is you ask them about their suicide. They will talk about it. One of the first questions we ask people when they come in is, are you thinking about suicide? Because
no matter what the problem
is, because we hide it. There's so much shame, stigma. You don't ask for help. It has these things that you just said. People feel, if I commit suicide, I'll be in hell forever. And, for me as a therapist, I can't worry about that theology. I just tell them, look, God loves you. But we have to ask that. In the ethics of therapy, there's two things we can break confidentiality for. One is if you're going to kill yourself, and two, if you're going to kill somebody else.
Is that the second question you ask them?
No. The second question I ask them is, do you have a friend, a close friend? It's shocking how many people say, no, I don't have anybody.
So you say, are you thinking about suicide? And no matter what their answer is, do you have a close friend?
Yeah.
Well, community, I remember getting out of a counseling session one time after a very difficult counseling session, a game changer for me, and him saying, my counselor saying, I want you not to isolate when you leave here. I didn't even feel the need to isolate in that room.
Absolutely.
But I remember when I got out to my car, I thought, all I want to do is drive. I want to get out of here and I don't want to talk to anybody. So I just started texting people who's around and found some church friends who were at a happy hour. But anyway, so I think with suicide, it's interesting culturally today. Like the reason we're even talking about it is because it is a present conversation.
Right.
And I was reading an article that said it's up 28% over the past couple of years, and that some of that has to do with celebrities taking their own lives and the energy and that the media gives that around it, that actually impacts the suicide rate. And then they said that demographic is not a discriminator anymore. Successful, unsuccessful in the eyes of society.
I just read today, someone put a picture on Instagram of a beautiful family, a pastor and his wife and 3 or 4 children standing there. Looked like a Wes Hampton Christmas card. You know how his Christmas cards always look like the perfect family. And the father had just committed suicide.
So why? Why suicide?
Yeah,
Why?
I saw that same thing, and then yesterday, our good friend Sue Buchanan posted another kid here in a church just to impact them committed suicide. And then I got to looking further in that, and there's a guy who's a pastor who started a ministry. I think he had a son that killed himself. He started a ministry for suicide victims, and he killed himself. Yeah.
It's contagious. There is a contagion effect.
That's right.
When someone commits suicide, sometimes in a school, they have to be careful that other children aren't affected.
My gosh, this is so complex, but if you don't mind, let me
dive in
here. They did a study of suicide notes left behind.
Okay.
20 of them were people who attempted suicide, their letters they left, and 20 suicide notes of people who completed suicide. And they wanted to compare them to see what's the difference.
What's the difference?
They had 5 variables to them. 69-year-old brain's got to work here right now.
I know what.
Five variables to them. One was a sense of burden. Was a huge issue.
There's just weight.
They're burdening someone else.
We're burdening somebody. My depression, my financial problem, my sex addiction, my addiction has cost my family.
They're afraid that if they leave, if they get out of the way, everybody will be better.
Absolutely. And that is a thought. And I have a friend that's contemplated suicide for several years, and I have breakfast with him, and I love him so much. But he, you think about it, and they get stuck thinking the world would be without me. But you want to tell them, but did you realize what the damage that leaves behind? But they're in so much pain they can't see that. To them, the relief, and you'll hear this. I'm a burden. I'm a burden to you. I feel like I drain you when I'm around you.
How many people never think about suicide? How many people never crosses their mind? I mean, I have thought about dying. I've said, Lord, when you're ready for me, I'm ready for you, that type of thing. But I've just never thought about hurting myself, I don't think. But I do believe there is medicine for it. You can get help.
Yes. Wow, a lot there. We call it suicidal ideation. In other words, we want to ask people, have you thought about it? And just having thoughts, it gives us an alarm, but it doesn't give us the 5 alarm.
Okay.
Next thing is, do you have a plan? Do it. I mean, in other words, have you bought a gun or
thought through it?
Yeah. Are you going to go somewhere and drive off wherever? And then thirdly is, do you have the means? When those all add up, you go, okay. And again, that's where it clicks for a therapist. If all those line up, we say, look, we have to intervene. There's some thought right now that says, don't worry so much about the history somebody has. The biggest thing is intervene there's a 15 to 20 minute window when someone's thinking about this, that they cross into a place of, boy, I'm going to do something.
This is reality now.
This is reality. Our intervention of knowing what to do. Most people who think about suicide don't have the skills. The difference is maybe a Mark Lowry. I'm not saying you haven't thought. I mean,
right?
Who hasn't thought about suicide? I mean,
sure.
You can't know.
Or even start.
The only way you can know is have a relationship of connection. And of course, that's one of the things maybe we'll get to is connection.
Dinner Conversations is brought to you by Child Fund, a community development organization that has been envisioning a world where every child is free to live at their fullest potential, no matter where they're from or what challenges they face. And they've been doing this since 1938. Child Fund's mission is to help bring positive and lasting change to communities around the world by removing the barriers that keep children from realizing and reaching their dreams.
Worldwide, over 570 million children are living in extreme poverty. For too many families, access to health care is a luxury, and opportunities for education and employment are extremely limited, forcing parents to often make choices that hinder rather than promote their children's futures. Child Fund's community development programs address these issues so that children around the world don't just have to survive, they can truly thrive.
Today, it is the support from sponsors like you that allows Child Fund to focus on the children and build lasting relationships with the communities like the ones we visited in Guatemala. Child Fund strives to help provide communities with critical necessities, including education, clean drinking water, food and nutrition, basic health care and hygiene, and helping children and parents alike know and understand their basic human rights.
We believe every one of us have been created unique with value, on purpose, and in love by God. We have been created in the image of God. The children we met in Guatemala are image bearers of our Creator. Think about that.
Yeah.
And I believe to love God best, we must learn to love our neighbors even better. Our neighbors like these children in Guatemala. Child Fund is giving us that unique opportunity, all of us, you guys and us, to serve God by loving these children through sponsoring a child today.
Perhaps you already sponsor a child. Would you consider sponsoring another child in Guatemala? Maybe honor one of your children, a new grandchild, a special niece or nephew. These kids are real kids with real dreams, just like the dreams of your kids and grandkids. We know because we met them. Kids that want to be doctors and lawyers and teachers and musicians, just like us.
Your child sponsorship of $36 a month will immediately link you with the child that you can write letters back and forth with, correspond, send pictures of you and your family, even potentially visit one day.
It really does take so little to make a big difference. Visit childfund.org/dinner conversations. A child is waiting.
For moments I have spent recalling all the pain and all the failures of my past, and I repent for dwelling on the things beyond my power to change, those chains that held me fast. I will go on, my past I leave behind me. I gladly take His mercy and His love, for He is joy and He is peace. He is strength and sweet release. I know He is and I am His, and I will go on, go on. give up all the bitterness and hate, all the blaming men and fate, for all my discontent, the guilt and pain I empty from my cup, so that God can fill it up with His peace and sweet content. I will go on, my past I leave behind me. I gladly take His mercy and His love, for He is joy and He is peace, He is strength and sweet release. I know He is, and I am His, and I will go on, go on, go
Now, emotional pain is very different for different people. What's emotional pain for you? You know, I know some people who look at you and say, well, you just need to grow up, you know? You just need to get in the Word. We Christians, we fundamental Christians, tend to say, if you pray more, that'll take care of it. And that's the thing. And read your Bible more. That will answer these problems.
She's saying those are triggers in and of themselves? Those are
No, I'm just saying those are the answers. Those are sort of the faith grenades we throw at people.
Sure.
That the simplicity of that. But what we know is when you ask layers of questions and people begin to reveal this deeper stuff that's going on, you connect to somebody and you get this wonderful permission to say, hey, are you suicidal? Are you thinking about that? We have this sort of entree to, and if you don't build a relationship with people, you don't have that.
Right.
Take us into those trauma triggers, though, because you said that's very important when you're, as a therapist, but even maybe as just people who are going to be in relationship with people, that these trauma triggers, what helps pave the pathway for someone contemplating or actually trying to achieve suicide has to do with mental, physical, emotional trauma.
I had a guy come to me. He was a Afghanistan war vet. He came and sat on the couch over there on this right end, and I said, "What brings you here?" And he said, "Well, my wife says I've become crazy." He said, "All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I'm up screaming." And he said, "Sometimes I've hit her." And he said, "Honey, you gotta." He said, "I go out in public and things happen, and I just break down and cry." He said, "I have wet my pants before." I said, what happened? He said, well, 14 months ago, I was in a foxhole, and an RPG came in. He said it killed one of my buddies, and the other guy, his arm and leg was torn off. He said, shrapnel. He said, I've been in the hospital for 14 months. I'm just out recovering. He's telling me the story. Next door, a therapist buddy of mine is doing therapy with a kid. And they're rowdying around over there. And all of a sudden I hear this, bam, the wall. You know, these kids are rowdying, whatever. I look at my guys under the couch. And I said, what are you doing under the couch? He said, oh man, when I hear a sound like that, he said, I come unglued. He said, any kind of sound. I said, well, that's ridiculous. That happened 14 months ago. You need to grow up, man. Stand up here, sit in the couch. He said, Mark, I can't help it when I hear these.
You really said that?
Sounds. No.
Oh, okay.
No, but
culturally, maybe that's what we're saying.
These are sort of a faith grenade that I talked about.
Right.
But there are things that we say to people. that's silly. Why would you think that happened 14 months ago? So he said, but I can't help it. And so, we now begin to see, as he talks about, he says, Mark, things that happen in the present that look like or feel like the past, I react to them as if they're still happening. So you talk about triggers. Now we call this in war vets, we call this PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So when you ask about trauma and trauma triggers, it's different for everybody.
Sure.
A little kid who's 5 years old, he comes home every night and his mother's an alcoholic, slaps him around. His dad comes home and he cusses at his kids. The kid feels neglect. And by the way, the number one child abuse, sex abuse is awful. I'll tell you about how much sex abuse goes on. But neglect is one of the worst forms of child abuse. I'm just not here. I'm not important enough to care for or to dress. I go to school, my clothes are the same clothes every week. And, but that little child who is a 5-year-old and his mom and dad's this way in alcohol, he can't go to his father and say, Dad, quit treating me this way. You guys are, you're snap out of it.
He doesn't have that maturity emotionally yet.
And he can't go down the street where Johnny's parents are, man, they're nurturing and they sit around a table and everybody's nice and they say grace. He can't. His fight or flight, what does he do?
Right.
He freezes. He freezes. And so as he grows up to be an adult, has these frozen emotions. And toxic families have 3 rules. Don't talk, don't feel, don't trust. That's the rules of a toxic family. And he learns these rules. Don't talk about things, don't feel. If you do feel, those feelings are incorrect. Don't trust, because who can you trust? And so he learns these feelings suppress. And as he gets into relationships later, sex addiction, alcohol, 1 out of every 3 women are sexually abused. 81% of those women will have an addiction, and 80% of them will marry an addict or an abuser. So when you ask about triggers, there's so much involved. And when if you're a pastor,
you have to take it case by case.
You have to
That's where relationship is important. There's, we're a lot of, especially as children, you're dealt with circumstances, you're dealt with, like you said, that child doesn't have an option to fight or flight, so they freeze. But that takes us into our responses in my mind. So, for instance, what brought you to this table was a Facebook post that Mark Lowry had read of yours, Mark Means.
It was brilliant.
About faith grenades, about how we respond to people who are in vulnerable places, who are coming out of vulnerable places and are stuck. And some of that stuckness can lead to suicide, but you called them faith grenades. So tell me what a faith grenade is. Like, what is it that we're placing and pulling a pin that can explode?
Well, this boy here's taught us years in his concerts, but it's these silly legalistic phrases we throw at people. Just pray about it and we'll go away. In the mighty name of Jesus, things are going to, it's all this, everything's going to be all right.
Platitudes kind of
Platitudes. It's phrases that have shame with them, that drip with guilt, that drip with, I hear you, but I'm not listening to you.
Or so arrogant as to think you'd have the answer.
So arrogant.
How would a mother loses her child, right?
Yeah.
Just grab that out of the air.
Yes.
What do I have to say on that subject?
Right.
Other than I'm here for you.
Right.
Can I help you? Can I bring you some food? I mean,
right. I think the worst.
I've lost a dog. That's it.
The worst thing we do to people is try to fix their problems. The best thing you do is you listen to people. You have to build those. Back to the 20 notes. One of the key issues in that was isolation. Is that people feel so isolated, so disconnected. But the number one thing that of the people who killed themselves, that they wrote the most about was the sense of burden. That was the biggest thing.
But would that be heightened by these faith grenades, by just pray about it?
yeah.
Like, doesn't that just further
Like
isolate?
that pastor,
Like,
how could he have? I mean, he must have felt like he was. I mean, they're all hopeless.
Oh, yeah.
They've lost hope.
Hopelessness.
How do we not lose hope?
Hopelessness is one of the issues.
What do we? How do we keep from losing hope? And especially in this political environment, in this day and age that we're living in,
I know.
where I mean everything is upside down.
I know. We're in a culture, and our culture is killing us from every direction. From social media, and we've become more and more isolated.
so as we've tried to be connected, we're becoming more disconnected.
We're so disconnected. In fact, another one of the first questions I ask people, do you have a friend?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people don't have a good close friend that you can be naked with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost saying literally. I mean, but you can strip down and have authenticity and transparency. You don't have it. Lloyd Ogilvie said most of us will only have 1 to 2 close friends in our entire life, that you can be that kind of close. People, in a world where we think we're connected, we're most disconnected. And people can't, particularly in this world,
It's hard to be healthy if
world
you're
of
not
religion and
connected.
faith. We wear this persona. We're hiding in plain sight. We're telling people, yeah, I'm okay. Jesus.
How many do you think you have? Like that?
Friends?
Those kinds of friends.
I have just 2 or 3 close friends I've had throughout my life for this last 30 years.
How have you fostered that? Because I don't think it's easy to say we need friends.
My best friend Wayne and I, we literally sound like 2 girls on the phone every morning. I mean, we're silly. We talk about sex. We talk about God and religion, what we're pissed off at, and what we're angry about, I should say. Of things that we're angry about.
If Paul can say dung, we can say.
There you go. There you go. But the gamut, and it's somebody that I can decompress with and talk about and know he'll be there. Yeah. And I've got girlfriends. Sue Buchanan's a wonderful girlfriend of mine that I can talk to. Wes's mom is great. But you need a guy friend that you can just be, you can talk and cry with, and they check on you. If Wayne's my good friend, if he doesn't pop up, we're hollering at each other, and we're very forgiving. If we can't answer the phone, we go, I know, I'll get him tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
But
I was just going to say about friendship. Of course, I have deep friends. When you stay single, you better build a friendship family.
Yeah.
And I never intended to get married, and I have built. Friend, Dina, Colleen, Bubba, Shelly, that are, when I broke my leg, I couldn't shoo them away.
Yeah.
They were on me like white on rice.
Yeah.
And you got to have that. No one can be healthy mentally alone.
Right.
But you got to have that's
Can you?
different than how do you have it. I don't think people know how to have
There's the thing.
friends.
We talk about suicides. There's a skill set that you and I would look at. Well, how could they not feel life? I've got my wife and kids in this, but there's a skill set, and it comes from this trauma stuff a lot. Now there are other variables: family history, financial crisis, birth order. All those play. And for people who are healthy, they kind of go, pshaw, why do they just not get over it? And I've got a few good friends who have had a good life. They've never had a lot of trauma. They never had those.
The holy rub.
Oh gosh, and felt abandoned by God. And I love it that people say, Jesus has been with me every minute. And it's been a hallelujah experience. I usually go, are you serious?
Really?
But there are some.
Yeah.
But learning to be a friend and learning to ask for that, I think we have to sometimes intrude on people when they don't have a friend. You have to press in and say, look, I'm thinking your need. I try to text people. I try to leave a voicemail. I intrude on some people. Because I say, I know you may be struggling.
But how many friends can you really have?
Yeah.
But
Can
hang
you?
on.
How many really? Seriously.
Good friends.
I don't know how you
can't
can.
many.
It takes. You got to manage them.
But you say like learning to ask, say, do you need a friend or whatever. I also, like my dad, we were talking about as a marriage and family therapist, when in loneliness, a compelling kind of desire to isolate is definitely my tendency. And so I have to seek community. I have to do the work and the effort, that kind of thing. And he would say, don't be afraid to ask from those you already trust who have some level of foundation or friendship and relationship with. Say what you need.
That's right.
Do you need to be with someone tonight? Do you just need a phone conversation? Do you, and sometimes you might need to be alone as well. But that's the other thing. Like, I don't think we want to intrude or impose or, right? Like, ask for what you need.
Yeah. But, a lot of times you don't know how to ask.
Right.
Harville Hendrick talks about isolators. And there's three skills that really fit this. And this is one that I mentioned in my article, is that when you're with people, these three elements are important to listening. Number one is mirror what people say. When people talk about their sadness, we say, "Hey, I can tell that you're sad. You're really struggling."
So that's how you mirror?
Yeah.
Like affirm what they're saying.
Absolutely. When somebody says, "Man, I feel like financially, I just feel like I'm sinking." To mirror that is I hear that, this sound.
You wouldn't just say, "Well, I've never had a financial problem."
Never. No, those are grenades. Well, what you need to do is see my financial.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
No,
Or you need to put money in savings or whatever.
Right.
Do not try to fix people.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's the
I'm
shaming
telling
aspect.
What my mother loved that, and I tend to do that. Like, what you need to do? That comes out of me a lot.
The church tends to do that, even from the pulpit.
But I really
right?
mean it.
We give these simplistic answers.
It's not like I'm trying to grenade them. I really think if you would do this, you'd get out of that mess.
But that's not necessarily what you're saying is that's not necessarily what someone needs in that moment.
Right.
There will come a moment where you can say, here's the next step.
We Christians tend to simplify the complicated and complicate the simple.
Interesting.
And it happens over and over. If a person doesn't feel like you hear them, they say, "Well, that's not what I mean." Then you say,
but how does hearing help? I'd say give them money would help if they're struggling.
But that maybe not what they're asking
I don't.
for.
I would disagree. I think giving them money sometimes can be enabling. And almost shaming a person. And what we do is just help them get the next junkie fix.
Oh.
Now, I think there's a point. There's no saying that says rescuing somebody one time is mercy. Rescuing them the second time is enabling.
Right.
And you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But mirroring is the second part of this process is validating. And validating is, hey, it makes sense you feel that way. I can see I can see why that would be. If I say to you, I'm really discouraged today. Hey, I hear you're discouraged today. And I can see, Mark, Now it's hard for people who, when things are going good, say, well, I don't understand. Why would you feel that way? There's a million blessings. Look at all this. You got this house and this, you're sitting with these great people. How could you? Well, that won't work.
Those are the grenades.
Yeah. So affirming through the mirroring is actually setting up community for them in that moment, because it's doing like what you said your friends did with you and you broke your leg. Just say, I'm here. Or what you would say to a mother who's lost a child. I don't understand that, but I'm here.
Yeah.
So it's saying I'm here.
Yeah.
So how is a church, take that to the church. And when I mean the church, I mean we as individuals in the church. We know every church is not toxic. We know every Christian is not toxic. But as a whole, I don't feel like we've fostered great community. Otherwise, people on the precipice of suicide would be darkening our doors to say, I'm about to kill myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What can I do? Where's help? Where's hope?
And your question is?
The question is, what can we do to foster more community within the context of our churches?
Well, I'm going to answer this like a therapist, of course. What slays me is we put $1 gazillion into production that goes on in church. We put gazillions of dollars in associate pastors and teaching pastors and all this stuff. I don't understand why churches don't have licensed therapists on their staff. That are there to help with groups of doing this very stuff. I hear small groups. I go to an incredible church. So we have 5,000 small groups that go on every week. And it's amazing. I always worry, though, about the quality of those. What's going on?
Of the community in those small groups?
It's a skill to form community. If you got your own stuff, you don't really know how. But I think it's, I go back to this. When you mirror people and you validate them, hey, it makes sense you feel this way, and empathize with them, it must be difficult to feel that. To go through, man. And don't, your tendency is you want to fix in each stage. The greatest gift you can do is don't try to fix it. We're going to pray. We're going to be here with you. I'm going to be here with you. This must be tough. Now, look, I've heard your story. Let's get together, you and Phil and Bob and I on Saturdays. Let's sit down and look at your problem, and let's see, maybe there's some solutions to this. Maybe we can figure out something. But if you try to throw in solutions right up front, you load it into it, people got to be heard. That's what therapy, the one good thing about therapy is that people often walk away feeling better. Why? Because this has happened.
They're heard.
You say, somebody mirrored me, somebody validated me.
So you think if you had good friends, real true friends, you wouldn't need therapy?
This is what they do. This is what good friends do.
Right.
Is they mirror and validate and they empathize.
And they will tell you you're crazy, I think.
Tell you, yeah.
When that's the reason I've never had any yes men around me, because they'll tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear.
I know.
And a good friend will do that, say, man, this isn't your best.
Absolutely.
And a good friend will withhold what you need to hear in the moment because they're sensitive enough until you're
they won't
ready
embarrass
to
you
hear it.
in front of people.
Or shame you.
Well, don't commit suicide. And if you're thinking about it, call the number on the screen, and also tell somebody. Yes. Tell them. Once you put a light on it, I believe it gets smaller.
That's right.
It may not go away, it may not fix it, but the minute you bring it out into the open, put a light on it, tell somebody, you'll find out you're not alone. Half the people at this table are on medication.
Half?
This half. No, so listen, don't be ashamed because you have to take medicine. I take a little bit.
Medicine's extremely important.
It's very important.
But if you do call, the suicide hotline is amazing. They get 5,000 calls a day. 123 people kill themselves a day.
But the fact that they get 5,000 phone calls a day is the key of that is
absolutely.
You're not alone.
They help people.
Yeah, you're not
because
alone.
When you're in that desperate place, you need intervention, and they will help you immediately.
And at some point in all of our lives, no matter how dramatic or non-dramatic, we all need intervention. Yes. We all have. And at the heart of it, people who are in need, we're all people in great need of redemption. We all require the intervention of God through Jesus. I mean,
Absolutely.
And
He will never shame you. He will never shame you. Haven't you found that to be true about Him? He'll convict you, but He won't shame you.
My childhood Jesus was a shaming Jesus.
Well, yeah, but you got rid of Him.
My adult is,
Is more the real one?
I love what Russ Taff said.
The vastness of his life.
And his therapist said this to him, if your Jesus is a condemning Jesus, you need to fire him. You've got the wrong one.
I love his therapist.
Do you know his therapist?
I know.
Yeah. Well, you do.
How do you know
that?
Therapy? I don't think I need it. But
and
does everybody...
I'm a little bit of therapy.
I'm not talking to you. Does everybody need to go to therapy?
No. I think... therapy is truth-telling, but it does it in a skilled way. And I think many people, your comedy, music, is therapy for people.
Therapy for me.
That something transformative happens. I tell Wes all the time, I said, man, when you go out and sing, he sings a song, I'll Pray For You. And for me, it's just, Gaither songs all are therapy to me.
I've been there, right where you are. Your heart is so broken, and God is so far, and sleep won't come, and the tears won't quit. Can you remember? I won't forget. and you can't even pray. Please hear me when I say you may not have the words, but until you do, I'll pray for you. Until clouds clear and you start to see, know that I'll be here down on my knees. Just hold on to one thing that's true. Know that all this time He's holding you. When you can't think, oh, you can't even pray, please hear me when I say you may not have the words until you do. Know that I'll pray for you. All those answers, one day they're gonna come, but until they do, know that I'll pray for you. Yes, I'll pray for you.
You can help change the life of a child today by partnering with Andrew and me and supporting a boy or girl in Guatemala through Child Fund today.
Your sponsorship will not only improve the future of one child's life, your child's sponsorship will promote communities in Guatemala. The communities that Mark and I just visited, where we saw parents who are learning to value and to protect and to advance the worth and rights of their teens and children, who through your child's sponsorship are literally changing the culture of each child's community from the inside out.
Perhaps you already sponsor a child. Would you consider sponsoring another child in Guatemala? Maybe in honor of one of your children, a new grandchild, a special niece or nephew. It takes so little to make such a profound difference in the life of a child.
Your sponsored child is a real kid with real dreams, just like the dreams of your children and grandchildren. We know because we met them. Kids that want to be doctors and lawyers and teachers, even musicians, kind of like us. Your sponsorship gives these children their chance to achieve their very unique dreams.
You may not be able to change the whole world, but you can change the world for one child. Visit childfund.org/dinner conversations to sponsor a child in Guatemala today. As a small way to say thanks for your child's sponsorship, we will send you an autographed Season 2 DVD and Songs from the Set CD.
Yes, plus a special item made just for you by the communities in Guatemala.
And every sponsor and a guest is invited to a Dinner Conversations Friends and Family Weekend in Nashville.
Hey now, which includes meal times with Mark and me, private little concerts and chit chats with our friends, and a special Sunday morning service that will happen right before you head out of town.
And if you sponsor more than one child, you will have the opportunity to be a guest on an actual episode of Dinner Conversations during the Friends and Family Weekend in Nashville.
Does it get better than that?
No.
Does it, Mark? Does it? Stay tuned for exact details, and don't forget to visit childfund.org/dinner conversations to sponsor your child today.
To learn more about Dinner Conversations, visit dinner-conversations.com.
And while you're there, check out some of our friendly merch. We've got show mugs and season 1 and 2 DVDs, and we got these little note cards so Mark can write me a note that says, "You're the best co-host
Oh,
ever."
yes. Well, you know, you get that after every episode. And what about this mug with our faces on it?
What says good morning better?
It's like we're on both sides, so now lefty or a righty, you get to see us every morning.
You know, I think it's time we get back to those guests.
Yeah, probably. I think that we're finally getting more and more comfortable with showing our scars. Yeah. And when we show our scars is when everybody's, oh my gosh, I got them too,
Right.
You know?
Right. But I think as therapists, you may not be licensed, but when you're out there doing music and we're teaching people, demonstrating, modeling it, it helps people come out.
That's contagious too. We talked about how in the beginning how suicide is contagious, or the thoughts of suicide. Well, I think on the other hand, equally, hope is contagious.
Yes.
And telling your story and saying, hey, I deal with this too, that's contagious.
Yes.
It's scary the first time you do it,
Yes.
but then it gets easier.
And let me say something too, and this has a vast well in it, but people who are gay, people who, and I'm not trying to put them in the same category, sex addicts, alcoholics, the people that we have as you know, fundamentalists are binary. It's all or nothing, black or white, yes or no. Mm-hmm. Never either or in some.
Until one of their children.
You're in my tribe or not.
Right.
I was raised,
human.
if you weren't my tribe, you were, you know, when you talk about that, I go, man, we went to the same church. And those people, you have high suicide rate in Christian kids who are gay and families. I'm always amazed at some of these pastors. I mean, they rail against homosexuality, and I get a phone call. And I'm hated often because, you know, I'm a therapist and too accepting. But I get this call. They said, my son's wanting to come out. What am I going to? And all of a sudden, they have to learn to love their son. And it paradigm shift. And, you know, I'm not going to get into the theology of that. You can wrestle it all day. I feel sorry that there are communities of people who are not allowed to be in this family that we're in by stupidity. And I'm sure that's not a thing that people like to hear. But if we don't take care and love these people, we're going to be judged by
wrestle with our theology all day long, but I'm not going to wrestle with people. I'm not going to throw them to the ground, you know?
No.
Right.
You know, we used to divorce people, kill them.
Yeah.
You know, now. You know,
We used to have slaves.
5 or 6 wives. Yes!
And the church condoned it.
I know.
We still do.
Huh? You do?
Said we still do.
Touch me. Touch not thine anointed, do thy prophet no harm.
What verse is that?
Are we done?
Yeah. You know what else?
That was
Something that's
good.
very helpful is the recipes.
Yes.
If you have a lisp, it helps you know you're
Oh
not
my
alone.
gosh, recipes.com, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, this is a honey caramel glaze that your son-in-law
And you wait
made.
till you see his
It's out
new
of-
calendar.
My son-in-law makes all kinds
Should
of-
everyone taste this, there will be no need for hotlines in
Put
the future.
that on a hot biscuit, and you'll think you're in
Put that
heaven.
on my hot little lips.
It's out of this world.
Well, we'd like to thank Wes Hampton and His father-in-law, Mark Means, what a brilliant man.
Yeah, what a poignant and important episode. You can find some of the great songs that Wes sang on his product in our Amazon affiliate link in the episode description below.
And if you want to binge watch past episodes and new ones of our program, Dinner Conversations, you can go to Amazon Prime right now and do that. Dinner Conversations is brought to you by Child Fund, a community development organization that has been envisioning a world where every child is free to live at their fullest potential, no matter where they're from or what challenges they face since 1938.
Partner with us and our good friends at Child Fund to change the world and the life of a child by considering sponsoring a child today.
It really does take so little to make a difference.
Visit childfund.org/dinner conversations.
A child is waiting.